Back in 2008, when Manny Ramirez was traded from the Boston Red Sox to the LA Dodgers, he instantly became the best hitter in all of Major League Baseball. He had a 400 batting average in just over 50 games for the Dodgers, but the only thing is, it doesn't work out like that for everyone who gets traded. What's going on, guys? It's Fuzzy. Welcome back to yet another MLB video. Today is going to be very interesting because what we're going to be doing is we will be dissecting all of the trades that have happened in 2019, whether it was before the season, in the offseason, or even during the trade deadline, and we're going to examine all of the players that got worse once they joined their new team because they're pretty much the exact opposite of Manny Ramirez. Before we get into the video, I do have to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, Baseball Lifestyle. If you go to BL101.com, you can actually use code Fuzzy to get 25% off anything on the website, so make sure you guys do that. I don't really know any other creators that have a 25% off discount code, so make sure you use code Fuzzy, save some money, and look really good if you're going to work, school, or just any social event, and tell them I sent you. So thank you to Baseball Lifestyle for sponsoring this video. I really do appreciate it. They have been great to me in the past, and they're going to continue to work with us for the remainder of the baseball season, so make sure you guys show them some love. The first player that I want to talk about, him and another player were actually traded at the very beginning of the season. If you guys don't remember, Edwin Diaz and Robinson Cano were both members of the Seattle Mariners before the season started, and this was one of the blockbuster trades. There was also Paul Goldschmidt, who we will be talking about in this video, crazy enough, but for right now, Edwin Diaz and Robinson Cano, they don't even look like themselves this year. It's actually kind of sad to see. Back in 2018, Edwin Diaz put up one of the best relief pitching seasons that I've ever seen in my entire life, and if we're talking about the entire history of Major League Baseball, he's up there as one of the better seasons. He had 57 saves, which was just 5 away from the all-time record of 62 set by Francisco Rodriguez. So what the Mets were probably thinking is that they were going to add Edwin Diaz to their bullpen and also bring in Jurgis Familia, and that was going to be a nasty 1-2 punch maybe for the 8th and the 9th innings. And honestly, before the season started, I thought this was an excellent trade. The New York Mets traded their top prospect Jarred Kelenic in exchange for Edwin Diaz and Robinson Cano. There was a few other pieces involved, but I truly feel like Edwin Diaz, Robinson Cano, and Jarred Kelenic were the biggest pieces. We'll talk about Cano in just a second because his 2019 has not been good, but Edwin Diaz this year alone has imploded for 7 blown saves. He almost has a 6 ERA, and his home runs per 9, that's huge if you're a closer because you want to try and limit the damage. He has a 2.4 home runs per 9 from the closing position. That is not going to get it done. He's been honestly awful this year. Another crazy fact for you guys is Jeff McNeil, the all-star second baseman this year for the Mets. He was almost included in this trade, so the Mariners almost got Jarred Kelenic as well as Jeff McNeil. And just the fact that in 2019, Robinson Cano, he was supposed to be a force with Alfonso. He was supposed to be a force with Pete Alonso, Michael Conforto, and Wilson Ramos, but he only provided a 746 OPS, and this was after having an 845 OPS just a year ago in 2018. He was also hitting 303 last year. I don't know what happened to Edwin Diaz or Robinson Cano, but the fact that they held on to Jeff McNeil, I would say that's a small win for the New York Mets, who unfortunately will be missing the 2019 playoffs, so yeah, there's that too. I'm sorry, I had to say it. Speaking of another team that was poised to make a playoff run in 2019, we're talking about the Cleveland Indians, my favorite team in the entire world. Most likely we're going to miss the playoffs because it's just, we have to win every single game. The Rays have to lose games, the A's have to lose games. It's just not going to happen, but we tried our best. We acquired Yasiel Puig and Framel Reyes. We're going to talk about those two players real quick, and also we sent Trevor Bauer to the Reds, and my gosh, he has been pretty bad. We'll talk about him in just a second, but Trevor, if you're watching this, I love you. We just got to keep it real, okay? I'm sorry. The Indians acquired Yasiel Puig and Framel Reyes at the 2019 trade deadline in exchange for Trevor Bauer. There was a few other moving pieces just like the Edwin Diaz and Robinson Cano trade, but we're going to focus on these two guys right now, Puig and Reyes, because starting the season, the Indians actually had the worst offensive outfield in the entire league. We had Leonis Martin and Carlos Gonzalez in the outfield who are now out of baseball, and also Manny Ramirez was our starting DH. So yeah, the Indians, they were in shambles to start the season, so I give them props for fighting back. It's honestly just crazy to say this out loud, but Framel Reyes, we call him the Franimal, I guess you can call him that, but his slugging percentage and his OPS is almost 100 points lower than what it was for the Padres. He had 27 home runs in the first half. I thought that this guy was going to absolutely mash. Now, don't get me wrong, Framel Reyes has had moments of really heating up for the Tribe. Also, Yasiel Puig is hitting 302 for the Indians, so it's not like he's doing bad, but he only has 2 home runs in 48 games. So I really just have to say, I know Yasiel Puig is hitting the ball hard, but his power's not there. Same with Framel Reyes. It's a bummer that these guys guys did not work out, and the Indians most likely are going to miss the playoffs. Really sad because we gave away Bauer, and we're probably going to lose Yasiel Puig, and that's the way the cookie crumbles, I guess. So I'm going to turn it back to you guys real quick before we get into the case that is Trevor Bauer. Who has been the biggest bust so far in this video? Is it Edwin Diaz, Robinson Cano, Yasiel Puig, or Framel Reyes? I will say that I might be being a little bit too harsh on Yasiel Puig because he does have a 300 batting average. I don't know, man. Yasiel Puig with the 2 home runs in 48 games, along with some pretty bonehead base running as well as some shaky defense. I like the guy. I'm probably just bitter because we missed the playoffs. Anyways, it's Trevor Bauer time. Let's talk about him. Trevor Bauer is easily one of my favorite players in all of baseball, and I'm talking about positional players as well as pitchers. When he was traded, I was at a movie. I had to physically leave the movie because I was so upset. I've interviewed Trevor Bauer before, as you guys can see right now. He is one of the nicest guys, and honestly, in my opinion, he's going to be a pioneer for baseball players having YouTube channels. So I do have a soft spot for him, but I am not going to be biased today. We're going to talk about Trevor Bauer because since he got traded to the Reds, he's not been Trevor Bauer. Trevor Bauer was so good in 2018 that if he did not miss time with injury, I do think that he would have won the Cy Young over Blake Snell. Yes, you heard that from me first, so you know that I think that Trevor Bauer is insane as a pitcher. In 2019, though, he had a 3.79 ERA as well as a 1.2 whip with the Indians. Now, again, this was with the Indians. As soon as he got traded to the Reds, I'm not sure what happened. I don't know if it's because the ball flies over there at the Reds Stadium. What is that place called? Citizens Bank? No, that's CBP. Great American Ballpark. There we go. I know baseball. But the point still remains. He had a 3.79 ERA with the Indians, and now he's at a 6.39 with a 1.3 whip for the Cincinnati Reds. Now, granted, I do think that the Reds, they made this trade in the hopes that they were going to be really good in 2020 because they called up Aristides Aquino, so he filled the gap that was left by Yasiel Puig. So the Reds with Luis Castillo, Sonny Gray, and Trevor Bauer, that's a pretty nasty 1-2-3 punch. And honestly, I would say they might be better off next year, but 2019's sake, a 6.39 ERA for Trevor Bauer, that's really not good. I'm sorry, Trevor. If you're watching, I'm really sorry. Oh, come on, let's do it. You're better. We are about halfway done with this video, so make sure you guys do not go anywhere. But if you want to see more content like this where I go more in-depth about players and even go back in time, make sure you guys slap a like on this video as well as leave a comment in the comment section down below as well as to some video suggestions that you guys think that I should make. Paul Goldschmidt, just like Robinson Cano and Edwin Diaz, was traded at the very beginning of 2019, even before the season even started. So this occurred in the offseason right before. I don't know if it happened in 2018 or 2019. I could be wrong, but either way, he's on a brand new team this year, so we have to talk about him. Paul Goldschmidt, this year alone, has 33 home runs, 95 RBIs, and an 821 OPS. So you would think that I'd be saying that Paul Goldschmidt actually had a pretty good year, but no, I'm comparing Paul Goldschmidt to Paul Goldschmidt, and let's be honest, he's not the same guy this year. It's weird. Have you guys ever seen the movie Space Jam? I truly feel like there have been some little monsters that have come down from outer space and have sucked the talent out of Robinson Cano, Edwin Diaz, and Paul Goldschmidt, even Trevor Bauer, because all of these guys were some of the best players as recent as last year, and then they just fell off a cliff. I don't know what happened. I mean, Paul Goldschmidt, that might be hyperbole to say he fell off a cliff, but his numbers, they're not 6-time All-Star Paul Goldschmidt. So like I mentioned a few moments ago, the 33 home runs and 95 RBIs, those are great for counting stats, but the 821 OPS, that is insanely low for someone that has been in the top 10 in the MVP 4 times in the last couple seasons. We all expected Paul Goldschmidt to have 30 home runs and a 300 batting average, but that didn't even happen, as well as he had a 900 OPS pretty much every single season for the Diamondbacks, and his production was kind of cut in half. The Cardinals, they're still a really good team, and that's really because Jack Flaherty has a .9 ERA in the second half of 2019, and also Adam Wainwright has really turned the corner. So I truly do feel like my pick for the 2019 World Series of the Yankees versus the Cardinals is still in play, but if Goldschmidt, if he doesn't pick up the pace a little bit, it might not happen. Now, we're moving on to yet another exciting player who was also traded to the New York Mets, Marcus Stroman. Marcus Stroman had a lot to prove in 2019 because the year before, he had a 5.54 ERA, and he pretty much proved all the haters wrong, including myself, because I was on the train where I was thinking, why is Marcus Stroman talking all that smack on Twitter when he almost has a 6 ERA? Well, he really shut me up with a 2.96 ERA in the first half for a really bad Toronto Blue Jays team. He was traded to the New York Mets, and he was supposed to replace Zach Wheeler as their number 3 starter. In my opinion, I felt like they acquired Stroman so that they can make Zach Wheeler expendable, who was not playing great, and then all of a sudden he started playing great, and now he's not playing great either. But that's besides the point. Marcus Stroman, he's not been 2019 first half Marcus Stroman. He has a 4 ERA and just 10 starts for the Mets. So when you combine that with Edwin Diaz, Robinson Cano, and then obviously Marcus Stroman. The Mets, their trades not really working out. No. Good thing they have Jacob deGrom and Jeff McNeil and Pete Alonso and Michael Conforto and Wilson Ramos because they have a pretty good squad, and also Seth Lugo's been playing pretty well, but yikes. Marcus Stroman and the other two guys we talked about, they've been kind of duds if we're being honest. Moving on over to yet another National League East team, we're going to be talking about Shane Green, who is traded from the Detroit Tigers to the Atlanta Braves, and honestly, I did not see Shane Green coming in the first half. This guy had a 1.18 ERA and a 10.2 strikeouts per nine. I'm an Indians fan, so I've seen a lot of Shane Green throughout the years. He was one of the worst starting pitchers that I've seen in my entire life in the last couple years. He was good for a couple starts, then all of a sudden he really just imploded. But as a relief pitcher in the first half, this guy was lights out. Then he gets shipped off to the Atlanta Braves, where he really just loses himself and goes back and reverts to old school Shane Green. He blew his first save opportunity, right? So that's 0 for 1 already. He then gave up 3 runs and got a loss in his next appearance, and then 6 days later, he blew his second save opportunity, so he was actually pushed out by Mark Melancon. He was acquired by the Braves, so the fact that you have Mark Melancon, wait, he's on the team, right? Yeah, Mark Melancon is on the Atlanta Braves, and he actually has 11 of the last 13 save opportunities for the Atlanta Braves, so the fact that Shane Green was so bad that he lost his closing position, I do kind of feel bad for him because my heart goes out to anyone that is struggling that bad. He's been able to somewhat save his season in his last 10 to 15 appearances, as he's only given up 2 runs in those last 10 to 15 appearances, so I'm going to tip my cap off to him. I'm hoping that he can be great in the postseason. Just his first couple appearances, that's exactly why he's on the list. He was really bad. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are coming down to the final player from today's video, and actually looking at his stats, he was a meme the entire first half when he was playing for the Baltimore Orioles, but actually, if we look at it, Andrew Cashner was not that bad when he was with the Orioles to begin the season. He had a 3.83 ERA, which again, isn't the best ERA, but if you're sub 4, you're actually a pretty decent starting pitcher. He had a 1.1 whip. Again, that's not too bad. He had a 2.7 walks per 9, so if you put all of that into one kind of pile, a 3.83 ERA, a 1.1 whip, and only a 2.7 walks per 9, that's really good. Then he gets traded to the Boston Red Sox. This was Dave Dombrowski's final trade as the GM for the Sox. Yeah, his ERA spiked to 5.71. His 1.1 whip skyrocketed to a 1.6 whip, and also his home runs per 9 went up. They had to move him to the bullpen. It's just one of those things that I don't know exactly what the Red Sox were thinking trying to get this guy on their squad. I mean, he's only started 6 of his 23 appearances, so again, his starting days are pretty much over. I don't understand this one. Andrew Cashner, he was all right, then he became an absolute meme. It's just unfortunate. The Red Sox 2019 season, that's the one word I can describe it as, unfortunate. So that is going to do it for today's video. We talked about Edwin Diaz, Robinson Cano, Yasiel Puig, Framel, Reyes, Trevor Bauer, Paul Goldschmidt, Marcus Stroman, Shane Green, and Andrew Cashner. These were all players that got worse after being traded. So if you agree with me, if you feel like there's a reason why these players got bad, let me know in the comment section down below. Also, if I forgot anyone, also let me know. But if you enjoyed, make sure you slap a like on this one, and do not forget, if you're trying to get any cool baseball clothing that's comfortable and makes you look professional at the same time, head to BL101.com, use code Fuzzy to get 25% off anything that you can find on Baseball Lifestyle. Thank you guys for watching. You guys the best. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.